Hi, my name is Amelia Dick, and I'm a junior at the University of South Carolina. Today, I'll be talking about mental health as a college student. So, obviously, mental health can affect anyone, but I think it's very important to talk about how it affects college students because college is definitely like a big change, and everyone does it, but that doesn't mean it's easy, of course. But the National Library of Medicine has an article called College Students' Mental Health Problems and Treatment Considerations. This part is by Paola Pedrelli. She says that mental health problems are very common among college students. And then the article just gets into like reasons why. But the main thing is the change. So, obviously college is a big change. You go from living with your family your whole life to, living with random people, maybe people but people your age, not your family anymore, and you're alone and you have to learn how to take care of yourself and be an adult, which is definitely obviously a big change. Like when I first went, I also live 8 hours away. So when I first went, I wanted to go home, but that was not an option. So I kind of just had to, get through it. And so does everyone else, but I definitely wanted to go home. I did not like it. I was scared. And, it's just hard, like, because you're kind of just pushed straight into adulthood and you don't really get, like, that's just, you just got to figure it out on your own, which is hard because, like, I had to learn how to make my own doctor's appointments, go, fill my prescriptions, make myself food, which, for my freshman year, I would eat horrible food, I would eat ramen, frozen food, which, that's pretty typical, but, that also is bad for you and also can make you gain weight, which also does not help your self-esteem or your mental health too, which is very common for people to gain weight their freshman year too. That's, and that obviously will not be helping anyone's mental health, especially when you're like already having to deal with other stuff too. I also, I had random roommates, so the people I was living with, I never met them before. Like that was my first time meeting them, and at first I didn't like it, and I had a couple roommates that I didn't really like, and they wouldn't really clean up after themselves, which is always an issue. But my one roommate I did end up becoming best friends with, but that doesn't always work out for people. Sometimes you end up hating everyone, your roommates suck, and then you gotta move roommates, change rooms, it's not just like usually that easy. Like I've had friends where her roommates were horrible and they were mean and they wouldn't clean up after themselves, and then this year she finally got moved in with her good friend, so she's happy now. But it took her a couple years to actually figure that out. But another thing too is like balancing like like school, work, clubs, all that. Like it definitely is a lot. I'm only starting to work this year, but like the past 2 years I haven't worked at all because I'm fortunate enough not to have had to, but a lot of people do have to do that. And then it's like, you barely have any time for yourself, which can definitely affect your mental health. Obviously, like you just feel like you're just constantly doing stuff. And some people can like that, some people don't. I feel like I personally need alone time. I need my personal time, or like I feel like I'll probably want to go crazy, like I personally need that. But that can just take a toll because you're just kind of pushed, right? Like you have to be an adult, you have to work for everything, you have to also do your school, you also have to try to have somewhat of a social life or do clubs if like there's just, it's not easy, and that can definitely take a toll. But the good thing on this campus too, there is a lot of resources for that, like therapy, all that. Like we have resources, like if anyone, if you need to. I personally don't use it, but I also have my own like doctor from home kind of that I use. But I also think stuff that helps me is like finding like hobbies, like working out makes me feel good. And also I just started knitting, which I enjoy. I think that's a good like thing to just do to distract myself. But yeah, there's so many reasons why being a college student can take a toll on your mental health, and it's I don't think it's talked about enough, but there's always resources. And if you don't want to go to a therapist, you always have friends to talk to. I like to talk to my friends about stuff too, so there's always something like for you, no matter like how, like there's always a different type of resource. You just got to kind of find what works for you. But yeah, and sometimes college isn't for everyone, that's okay too, but yes, but that's all I had to say for today. Thank you for listening.